We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Izzle on it, only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Tub with the OG like Flintstones, good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. I am who?
Rob.
That is who I am. And once again, I am here with my man Izzle.
Here.
How you doing, young fella?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hey, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Again, we do this for the people, right?
That's what they tell us.
So hopefully as we do this for the people are getting something out of it. You know, and we try to be transparent for the people. We wanted the people to, get a glimpse of the things I've done, things I've gone through, so that they can make, decisions that could better affect their lives. Critical thinking. I always tell my kids, think about not just the first thing that could happen, but really think it out. How bad could this get? How good could this get? And then you make a decision based off of all the information you can gather that works best for you.
You get all the facts and you can make an educated decision.
Right on. So what we do is we try to share information with you. And hopefully it's some information that's beneficial. So with that, we want to talk today about something else that, myself and some other people have gone through, being young parents.
Young parent.
I was 19 when my daughter was born. And, that's pretty young and dumb for me. I was dumb. I don't lie. People be talking about, I knew her. No, I was dumb. I had no clue. I was just living life, just existing for the most part. And, I got a phone call on December 11th. Or it might have been 11th or the 12th. I don't know. It might have been the day after. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was a random day. It was not insignificant.
But I got a call, and they said, "You have a daughter." I had to sit down.
Should have been me.
I had to sit down. I sat down, and I was just thinking, like, whoa. I was scared. I was excited. I had joy. I probably would have cried if it wasn't people around. But I was
none for the people.
Yeah. So I was kind of, but it was a shock. And again, it's funny that it was a shock, knowing, even though I knew she was coming, it's like it's still a shock when she gets here. It's like, yo, what's up?
She's here. It begins.
Yeah. So with that, I was like, yo, I gotta, after I got myself together, it's like, okay, I gotta go see my baby. So I go see her, and I'm holding her in my arms. And again, she fit my hand a little bit down my arm. She had big hands, see?
Palm of your hand.
But, so she fit in there almost. And I'm just staring at her. I was staring at her for a while, just like, wow, she's beautiful. And I'm thinking, like, I gotta take care of this baby. How do I take care of a baby? And not that I haven't been around babies before. I got younger brothers and sisters. But I didn't have to take care of them. I may have changed the diaper, but I didn't have to take care of them. I may have babysat, but I didn't have to it wasn't my responsibility to make sure that they were well. It was just my responsibility at certain times to make sure that by the time their parents came home, they weren't broke. So that's a little different. But now it's like, yo, what are you doing? How do you do this? And so again, the fear that I had to make sure she was protected was overwhelming. But it was like I got to step up. And my ex-wife and I weren't together at the time, so that added another dynamic to it, to the whole baby issue. Is like, okay, I'm going to visit a baby. I'm going to visit her, or I'm going to see her, and it's like, but she ain't with me all the time, and that caused me some issues. And for me, it was like, I don't want nobody else around my daughter. I don't want nobody else being daddy or even touching her in a way that she grow up and think that, they Mr. So-and-so is nice or whoever is nice. No, this is my baby. So I was jealous too. But so I had all these different things going on in my head, but I knew I needed to be with my baby. So luckily, my ex-wife and I, we would spend time together as I'm going to see her and, see the baby. And, if I say, hey, let's go for a ride or whatever, we get to take the baby out and we together. And, we were able to kind of build the relationship back up to a point that we were able to, get married eventually. But that took
marriage.
Yeah, but by then I had turned 20. So, so I'm a grown man. No, was I 20? Let me see. Nope, I wasn't 20 yet. But yes, I was. Yeah. No, I wasn't 20 yet. I was 20. Anyway, so now, but I'm still trying to figure out the emotions and how you take care of a family now. But again, you got a baby, man. The things you want to do for your child is kind of like you have the idea of what you want to do, but then you have the finances of what you want to do, which kind of don't always work out. And then when you're young, you also have parents, my mom, her mom, who they both have known us, me and her, since we were little. Her mom, my mom known her my ex-wife since she was 7 years old. Her mom has known me since I was 9 years old. So, but now we 19 and 20, thinking we grown, but they looking at us like, y'all still some dumb kids. We know y'all dumb because y'all wouldn't have been in this mess if y'all wasn't dumb. So they looking at us. So we trying to, kind of forge our way to let them understand we know what we're doing, or at least we think we know what we're doing, but we want to be able to do it. Now, so unluckily, I don't know, whatever. When I went, we went away with the Army. I was in the Army, so we left, and so we were on our own. Mm-hmm. And we had an opportunity then to try to figure it out for ourselves without moms trying to tell us we're wrong or trying to dictate how we do it because they don't see us as adults. So now we're away and we get to be adults. With that comes some challenges and issues, and we realized we were as dumb as they said in a lot of cases. So we still had to figure some things out. But I think what happens is that, when you are trying to be a parent, a young parent, one of the things, you have to do is put aside some of your own goals, some of your own ambitions in life for a time, because you have to focus on them babies. Now, we married, we're away, we got a son now, so now we got 2 kids.
Yeah, that's old parent. Yeah, we still a young parent.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the young parents were, because even if you talk about, again, when we go away, we get to make those decisions. But when we were still, before we got married, she was living at her mom's, I was living at my mom. And I felt like, almost like I got an opportunity to see you, but I don't have that opportunity to raise you. I'm not raising you really, because no matter what I say, when she go back home, they gonna do what they want to do. They gonna make decisions based off of what's best for their home. And the same thing, for the mom. When she with me, I'm making decisions based off of what I want to do, but it may not be what's best, what you wanted to do in that other home. So it's kind of like that struggle of the family dynamics was real, and it was difficult. Yeah. It was difficult to manage how, those two homes, so to speak, and two ways of doing things. But I think what helped me the most as a young father is that love was so strong that it's like I'm willing to deal with some of this stuff. I'm willing to deal with, those times when I'm not as comfortable,
Gotta grow through it.
but I'm willing to deal with it because that's my baby. I'm not gonna lose her because of all this other stuff. Like I said, but and then over time, luckily, we were able to get together and then get married. Now it's, even though we get our own thing and we're trying to do this together, but now it's even more of a struggle because, again,
Do you feel like that's a struggle that every or most young parents, like 19, have to deal with, like whether or not they're willing to deal with like having authority figures kind of over you and that aren't yours, like that inconsistency, because you're not, well, in most cases you're probably not living together at 18, 19 years old. Y'all have a baby. So if y'all have a baby, if y'all have a baby, y'all will be living with whoever you were living with at the time, your parents, or most cases your parents still.
Right.
So it's like, do I want to deal with having to go over her parents' house and things like that? So I'm just not going to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's real, because what happens is, like for me, after a while, it's like I call and say, hey, I'm coming. Won't y'all come outside? And we'll sit in the car or we'll go somewhere else. Because I don't really want to go and feel like a little boy when I'm trying to be a grown man.
Right.
And it's not even a knock on our parents, because it's like we went from being silly kids to parents. We didn't grow up all in like, I'm out on my own living my life, she out on her own living her life, and then we had a baby where her mom got a chance to see her as an adult and see me as an adult before the baby. They saw us as little kids, young kids doing dumb stuff, and then all of a sudden we became parents. So yeah, if you are, in most cases, you're going to go through that. So, but you have to understand that it's not their fault, it's my fault. I did this. We did this. That they treat us the way they treat us, but we did this.
And knowing what we know now, it's hard to go from, like, to grow with your kids. Like, when they're adults, you can't just flip the switch and think they're adults now.
Right. Because, again, I look at my kids when they were 18, 19, again, they were dumb. Now, they knew more than me because they had me. But at the same time, they still didn't know what they needed. No, they didn't know everything because they had to grow into certain things. But so as a father, I'm still looking at you at 18 and saying, boy, you dumb, you ain't ready for it. But at the same time, the only way you get ready for something is by doing it in most cases. Like, it's like, but you have to, it's almost, at some point you have to let go to see them grow. My problem, but when that's just you, like you looking at your son or your daughter and they just doing it, that's fine. But when there's a baby involved, it's different, because now the grandparents are more worried about the baby than they are you.
And when you're 18, 19, you don't know what that parent is dealing with that, because you can't think like that. You're just thinking they're treating me like a kid.
Right. And they ain't even thinking about you in most cases. They're worried about them. They're more worried about the baby than they are you. Yeah. They're like, yeah, you stupid, but this is a baby. I got to make sure the baby is safe. But you can't wrap your head around it when you the one that you look that you feeling like, yo, they treating me like a kid. Mm-hmm. You ain't wrapping your head around the fact that no, they want to protect the baby.
They're scared. They want to protect.
And so that's something that you have to understand when you are a young parent, is that, yo, nobody ain't really, it ain't about you no more. It's about the baby now. So that's what the whole family, whether it's mom, dads, grandparents, or his cousin, aunt, everybody worried about the baby. They all thinking about the baby. You just part of it. It's like, yeah, you the daddy, but it's the baby. We care about the baby. And like, cool. That's why when you go somewhere and everybody say, oh, she's so cute, or oh, look at the baby. Nobody gonna talk about you. You can be in the flyest beard in the world, looking so cool and fly, and they don't say nothing about you. They say, oh, look at the baby, because they don't care about you no more. But you got to wrap your head around that and understand that not take things so personal as if they really talking down to you or thinking that you're less than. They just more concerned with the baby, and that's fine. But those emotions you have to figure out how to deal with, and you have to figure out that you have to learn to do what's best for your child as well. And it's difficult. And so for some of people that, like if you didn't grow up with a father in the home and teaching you certain things, then what happens is you have to learn them other ways. As a father, for me, like I said, I always tell people, I watch Good Times a lot. And James Evans, to me, was like that perfect father. Do anything for his family, is always there for his kids. Worked 2 and 3 jobs, and they struggled, just to get by. But he was there. And so for me, I always wanted to be there. And so I had to figure out how to be there. And but you have to figure it out. How does that work for me versus how that worked for this person or that person? And even where the mother she's trying to grow up and become a woman, but she got a baby. So yeah, I'm a grown woman. You got a baby, but you still need to learn certain things. And luckily, mothers got in most cases, they got a little better because they had a mother that was probably in the house and they learned some things from their mom. But you still got to figure out, how does that work for me? Especially if you're coming from a single parent home where mom did everything. Now you with some guy and y'all 19, 20 years old and y'all trying to do this together, and all you saw was independent mom. So you got to figure out, so the stuff that my mama did don't work in here because I got a man that's saying no, or that's challenging me on certain things. That's totally different. That's a dynamic. And again, the processing that we go through in our mind as kids, 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid, is totally different than if I would have been living on my own up until 30, so to speak, 25, 30, and I've been doing my thing. And now all I'm doing is processing being with a person. I'm processing how to be a daddy or how to be a mommy with another person. That's totally different. And that dynamic is such a struggle, and it causes people to fold. It causes people to struggle in relationships. So now our relationship is struggling because we still trying to figure out how to be a mom and a dad the way we need to be, and not the way our parents thought it should be, or not even the way I thought it should be on TV. So it's a whole different dynamic that we go through, and a struggle that we go through as young parents. And most people, or very few people, because even if your friends had kids young, their dynamic is not the same as yours. As much as you want to say, because some of them might have got married when they had a kid, young age. Some of them might have just had a kid at a young age, was doing it on their own. Some of them might have been trying to blend it, but they all do it differently because there's no handbook for it. So, but the biggest thing is your emotions get in the way of you doing what's right sometimes. And so you have to figure out, how do I take the emotions out of this and focus on what's best for the child. Focus on what's best for the relationship that I'm in with the mother, and get the emotions out of it. And that's a struggle because, again, no one can tell me how to do it exactly. People can give me some ideas and different things, but the biggest thing I think, and what I want you people, the people to take from this, is that be aware of your emotions. Don't be dictated by your emotions when you're young. Try to move away from the emotional side and get to the intellectual part of it. What is the right thing to do? What's the best way to handle a situation? Not the way that's going to make me feel good all the time. Because if you do it based off of your feelings, you're going to mess up. Because your feelings will have you doing and saying things that's going to cause problems temporarily and sometimes permanently. But again, as a young boy trying to become a man, I'm like, I'm just trying to keep my head above water right now. I'm just trying to hope I do the right thing. And that ain't always easy. And again, you don't have people that can teach you how to do it. If they ain't never been through it, people just assume that, all you got to do is this. Come on, man. It's never that easy. It ain't that simple. Stop trying to make it simple. It's difficult. It's hard. It's hard to be a teenage father. It's hard to be a teenage mother. It's not easy. It ain't just do this. Or people say, well, you need to grow up now. You gotta be. You could tell me I needed to grow up anyway. But you saying I need to grow up now because I got a baby don't change that I'm still the same person I was 5 minutes before I knew I had a baby.
And it doesn't make it happen any faster.
Not at all. So the same silly kid I was at 19, the day before she was born, I was that same silly kid the day after she was born. It's just that now I'm scared or I'm excited, but I'm saying I'm the same person. I gotta learn. You gotta learn. Mom got to learn how to be a mom. Because in most cases, you got a doll baby almost. A lot of, you see, these women, they have kids, especially when they're young. They dress the kids up all cute. They basically playing doll. They playing with a doll. But then that doll poop. And it's like, yo, this ain't the same as the doll I had where, it's different now. So now it's, okay, the emotion side of it. Or you can't just put the doll in the box and go play. You can't just say, oh, I'm going out tonight. No, you don't. At 19 years old, I want to hit the club. I want to be out partying. I want to hang out with my friends, playing ball. I want to do all these things. I can't do that all the time no more because now I got a baby. I got to make sure I work. I got to make sure, and then I got to make sure I go home to be with the baby, to bond. My boys ain't got to do that. They ain't got no kids. They can go play ball from sun up to sundown.
You got to provide. You got to spend time, and that is something you got to just snap out of and deal with because you haven't had to do that your entire childhood.
Yeah, never. I mean, so it's like, yo, now what? But all those things take time to understand, and it's like, all right, I may not do it right all the time, and that's the problem is that people expect you to be like once you have a baby, especially at a young age, like, well, you just got to do this. Yo, I ain't gonna get it right all the time. I'm not even getting life right. How am I going to get being a father right? I'm going to mess up. I'm going to struggle. But I'm going to keep trying. That's the difference between me and some of these other fathers. I ain't walking away. I ain't just leaving my children to fend for themselves. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. So that's one of the things that, again, we have to, give each other grace and do this and not focus on what other people think, how they think you should be. Versus, I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better. That's all I can do is try to be better. Am I getting it all right? No. Will I get it all right? No. But I'm trying to be better today than I was yesterday. And so if I'm trying to do that, then I have to give mom the same, grace. So for her to try to get better. And then hopefully, in the meantime, you ain't breaking your kids. You take them up every now and then, but you ain't break them. Kids are resilient.
At least you learn your lesson with the first one when you make the second one.
Yeah, thing of it is, I think sometimes we think that kids, if you don't do everything right, the kid just trauma. No, kids adjust. They'll be all right. I got 6 kids. They fine. They ain't none of them. They got issues here, there, but they weren't broken. They got some issues they got to work through. I got issues I got to work through just like everybody else. You ain't going to break your kids, but you got to be involved in their life. As a young parent, as an old parent, and all the parents in between. Stay involved.
Hey, man, thanks for being there.
I'm glad I could be there. It was my pleasure to be there. And that's the whole thing. That's a joy that when you look back on your life, it's like me, late 50s, or if you, or whatever age you are and your kids are older, let's say, going into their 20s, and you look back at that. If you can look back and say, and remember all these different ages that you were there. Again, not everything, because some people got better memories than me. I don't remember everything. But if you can remember those times when they did something special and you saw it, then it was worth it. And they'll appreciate it. Again, you ain't going to get it right. Like I said, I'll smack a kid upside the head in a heartbeat. That's me. But at least I was there to smack you upside your head.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
So
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. But again, at least I'm there. But be there for your kids. Don't give up on them because you're young. Don't use that excuse. I was young. Young don't mean that you walk away. Young mean that you got to try harder. Young means that maybe you need to listen to some older people to learn how to do it. But it doesn't mean that you just say, oh, I'm young and I'm going to go do what I want to do. No. Once you decide to lay down and get up, and you got a baby coming, then you have to make sure that it ain't about, it's not about you, and it's not about you just giving up because you say, I'm young. Because the baby is going to grow no matter what. So you need to be a part of that. You need to be a part of that. Bonding early in life, teaching in the middle of life, and loving throughout the life. You got to be there. So, don't just give up. Don't just say it is what it is and I was young. Don't blame it on being young. Because like I said, I was a young parent, and it's a lot of young parents, people having babies young, and they put in the time. They put in the work. They give up parts of what they were going to go through and parts of the things that they went through. They give a part of their life. You have to. But you just can't throw in the towel or blame it on your youth. The fact that you're young ain't got nothing to do with this. It just means that you're going to have a harder road, but it don't mean the road is not worth it the same way. Everything I went through with my kids, being young and struggling, it was a struggle, but it wasn't, because that smile that you get from your child, or when you bouncing your son on your knee, and your daughter and everybody crawling on you, like my kids use me like a jungle gym. Mm-hmm. But that's the joy of being a dad. Or when they getting ready to fall and you catch them right before they hit the ground, that's the joy of being a dad. So you can't just miss out on those times because you looking for, I want to go hang with my boys. You go hang with your boys, and then find out that your daughter or your son started walking while you was out hanging with your boys. You gonna miss that? To hang with some knuckleheads? No, come on, man. Hang with your kids a lot more. Spend that time with them. I ain't saying you shouldn't have no time with your, outside of, your kids. I ain't saying that. But kids come first. What they need come first. And they need you, especially early. Bond with your kids. Build that relationship. So, again, I hope you guys got a little something out of this. It was cool to talk about being a young parent again. My fear was real. My excitement was real. But the love I have for them is lifetime, so it's all good. It's all worth it. So hopefully you guys, if you're young and you're having kids, just hang in there. It may seem tough, but it gets better. If you're old and you're having kids for the first time, hang in there. It gets better. So, I can't imagine having no kids at no late stages in life, but hey, if that's you, more power to you. My patience changes over time.
Congratulations, or sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I had the patience of Job. When I was a kid, I could go through it all when I'm young. But hey, you cross the river 40, you like, man, I don't hear all that noise. so anyway, but whatever you're going through, just keep going, keep doing your best, and you'll be okay. So, like always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you're checking us out on all these different platforms.
Or wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like and subscribe. All that nonsense. Yada, yada, yada.
There it is. So you heard it from Israel. Like and subscribe.
All that jive.
All of it. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll holler at you next week.
Bye.
Peace.
Studio. We in the studio. We in the studio. We Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. We Rob in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Is alone and only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Good with the OG like Flintstones. Good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.